I have no idea why that sound is still playing. Oh, there we go. That's what happens when you have the live and then you have you on YouTube playing playing you to make sure that you are actually um, live. So hello my friends. Hello, 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 hello. I would like to say love and lights, my friends. Welcome all Black Light series last week of the Black Light series. Although I'm finding there's a lot of interest in this topic of Black spirituality in this way, and I will continue to do more videos, live streams in this area, more teachings, more practice, um, because yes, there seems to be interest in Kim spirituality. I use Kim instead of melanin because melanin is a Greek term. The mela um, is it means black. It also means dirty. Okay, and the N part is biology, right? And so Kim is taken directly from ancient African civilizations. That is what the term they utilize to describe black, which was not dirty. So uh, I presented the term melanin metaphysics or melanin because people know that term. But the ideal way to say is chem metaphysics. And I'm sure there's other language, you know how in Spanish they have action and descriptors, different endings to the words. Maybe that's part of that ancient African lexicon until I become more versed in the different variations of Kim as action, as thing, as adverb, as adjective. I am sticking with Kim. Hello, everyone. Welcome all, love and lights. I'm Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at. This today is Living in the Black Light, your daily practice for cosmic radiance. And yes, I was really getting off topic there, um, but I'm on. Okay. And I just want to say that before I get started, like I said, this is the last week of the Black Light series as it was laid out, the infrastructure for these last 3 weeks. Okay, this is the last week. We have today some commentary, tomorrow a meditation, and then Thursday we have a straight out teaching. Okay. Um, and then that's it. And then I will present another series to follow this. Ideally, I should be able to talk about that on Thursday. Okay, so in order to stay tuned as to what we're doing here, so what Power Profit TV is uploading for you to realize your divine identity, your divine purpose, apart from the social conditioning that society does to diminish you and make you a cog in the wheel of white supremacy, right? This is work. This is work because we are sick inside, right? Kim folks, many of us are lost. Yeah. You have to, if something resonates, comment, like the video if you're here longer than 3 minutes, and definitely subscribe, okay? People cannot hear these important messages in order to think about how they can power up, master themselves, master their world. People need to have access to these videos. And the only way that YouTube begins to do something for us creators who are new is if people subscribe and like our content. Okay. And I know I'm hitting a niche audience, talking about Kim's spirituality, Black Light series. I'm sure that white Americans, Caucasians may not be into this. But if you are a Kim dominant, a Kim divine entity, and you believe that these videos are helping you, or the shorts on TikTok, Instagram, or the shorts on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Help others be able to unfold the power and light of who they are. I'd appreciate it very much. Okay. Yeah, I got a little serious because it's important. If you find this content engaging, subscribe and like, please. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And so what I also want to do is, because I do this, this is my job. Buy me a cup of coffee, please. With much gratitude for your support. In order for a sister to continue to communicate wisdom, life, spirit, well, actually, I don't subscribe to I, because I believe in Ubuntu, which is I am, because we are. I am a we and are, right? We need support, my friends. QR code there, take your rate to buy me a coffee. I don't care how much you give. 50 cents, $1, 75 cents, $10, 20, 30, whatever. In order for this work to continue, there needs to be support. Because like I said, this is my job. Okay? Thank you. All right, so here we go. I'm really excited about this teaching today. We're living in the Black Light, your daily practice for cosmic radiance, right? Living in the Kim light, Black Light, Kim light, your daily practice for cosmic radiance. Because indeed, my friends, you are cosmic. And as I will say, to any person who is not Kim sitting in these videos, is that you have to understand you have melanin too, maybe not slathered all over your body, such as I or we, right? However, you have neuromelanin and melanin all throughout your body, right? That is important to sustain. And while I am focused on an ancient African spirituality, I mean, this work resonates from the beginning of time into and unfolds within every spiritual tradition there is. This is the best kept secret, because everybody has always considered this discussion pseudoscience. And pseudoscience, let it be, because the people who need to understand this come to this. And pseudoscience, I mean, if measuring skulls, putting marbles in them, and lint and seeds and all kind of stuff to measure how big a skull is, to determine intellect, superiority, inferiority, if that's not pseudoscience, and no one has called it pseudoscience, there's a problem, because that is pseudoscience. Because a skull is made of bone. The brain is the engine that thinks and holds. But they knew they were making that stuff up from the beginning. But anyway, I'm in my new sort of configuration here. Instead of having the notes on the screen because it interferes with my capacity to see you, I want to see you. I have my laptop in front of me and I fixed all the little glitches with the camera. So hopefully we won't have another I got music playing, but I can't hear it. Oh, there it is. And it's not even unmuting. There we go. Sometimes, well, all the time I need music. And I have to say, I am just a black coffee fanatic. That vibe music is in my soul. You understand? And it's powerful. I did have some graphics behind me. Here it is. Is that going to show? Ooh, gets really, oh, look at that. I guess it's not going to show. Oh, there it is. I'm having some serious glitches around here. So I changed it from the green to the black light. All right, so what we need to do, because I'm steady talking, and I'm so excited. I mean, this series has been a success for all intents and purposes, my friends. And it brings joy to my heart that people found this insightful. Now, I don't go by what I see on YouTube because YouTube is a long haul, and I get that. But I go by what I see when I put clips of this stuff in other platforms. I mean, instantaneously, my followers increased. Even here, through the series, 3 weeks, I gained 3 new subscribers. On YouTube, in these past 3 weeks, it blew up like, I don't know, 17, 20 subscribers. Instagram, these 3 weeks, blew up at least 7 subscribers. So this is a signal of win-win. Win-win. So I'm glad that people are finding this information useful and insightful to their spiritual walk. Okay? And so, make sure my volume is up. And so 3 weeks, I ask you to sit still long enough to feel something. If you don't remember, please go back to all of the videos that are still, I think most of them are up there. I'm going to begin to take them down because I'm turning this into a course. So get it while it's free. I asked you to sit long enough, and many of you did sit long enough. You sat with the history, the whole architecture of what was done to us, named what that was without flinching. You sat with the lie, the coping strategy schemas that are rooted in chattel slavery here in America, that moved through your body and called itself strength. You sat in the dark on purpose, maybe for the first time in your life, and discovered that the dark was not empty. It is you, my friend. You unfolded into something ancient within yourself. You listened for the ancestors, and some of you actually heard them. Today, it's not another revelation. Talking about a revolution. I'm sorry, Tracy Chapman. You do not need another revelation at this time. You've had 3 weeks of revelation, okay? What you need now, what every one of us needs at the far side of awakening, is architecture. Architecture. The word sounds weird now. Architecture. Infrastructure. Okay? A way to carry what you know into Monday morning, into the meeting where they still cannot see you, into the family dinner where the old roles still wait for you like coats at the door, into the ordinary, repeating, unglamorous days where every transformation either becomes life or becomes a memory, my friends. Release in the power of release, and that is where we're always in the power of release, is not an event. It's not. It is a daily practice. And what the practice creates is space for the isness of you, the I am of you, my friends. This episode we're doing today is called Living in the Black Light, your daily practice for cosmic radiance, because that's just what Kim is, cosmic. Okay. It is the graduation, so to speak. And like every real graduation, it is not an ending, my friends. It is a commitment. All right. The moment the learning stops being something you attend and starts being something you are. That's the hard work part. Possible. But that's the work. Beautiful, glorious work. Powerful work. By the time we close this afternoon, you will have the complete architecture, infrastructure, 3 pillars of the Radiance Path. Yes, I write about this in The Power of Release, my last book I published, and you can see that in the link in bio. And the 5 daily practices, which I believe is still up in the live stream, in videos. It could be in videos. But it's 5 daily practices that hold up the pillars of the Radiant Path. And at the end, oh no, these are new. Excuse me, I don't want to take you back there. I created new ones. I'm thinking in my head. 5, everything's 5. No, these are brand new. Well, not brand new, but evolved from, right? Those practices. And at the end of today's session, for the first time in this series, I'm going to open the chat and ask you to say something out loud in front of this community that you cannot unsay. And if the community does not want to share, you're watching this live stream later, I ask you to put this in the comment section and say it out loud. Okay, we get to that. Say it out loud, write it. That's saying it out loud. You say it out loud to yourself and you write it in to dedicate yourself to it and to manifest, right? You cannot manifest if you don't put it outside of yourself in some way, shape, or form, because you have to see it. You have to see it. So, you ready to finish what we started? All right, come on in. So the journey you made, okay? Before I give you where we're going, all right, I need you to see how far you have come. Because the journey you just made, my friends, in these last 3 weeks, right, is a journey some people are given a lifetime to make and never take. You are courageous, you are brave, and you know that something needs to change. And that is because if you didn't, you would not be sitting in these videos. All right? Something needs to change. All right. So in episode 1, when we went to the root, all right, we named the architecture um, chattel slavery as a psychological project. The manufactured hierarchy around race, which didn't exist until the need to enslave people as animals. That's when race came to be. The scientific racism that was created to justify the manufactured hierarchy. It's dressed up in the costume of objectivity. And then we turned the light around, my friends. Yes, we did. We looked at the ivory tower. We looked at what the ivory tower never wanted examined. Melanin, Kim itself. Not as a social marker, my friends, not as black and dirty as the etymology says about its root. Mela in Greek. But as a cosmic instrument, a biochemical receiver, an organic superconductor, the antenna, not the target. You walked out of episode 1 with a new question, and it's not what's wrong with me, my friends. Never that. But what is in me? That's powerful, right? Episode 2, we went inside, okay? And we named as an example the highly studied clinicals, behavioral health, social sciences, all the studies that show the coping strategies of the Black strong women are problematic. And so I brought that to the fore, the coping schema, right? It's 5 elements and its roots are in survival. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I tend to do this for whatever reason. I forget. And that's okay. It's okay to forget. So there's 5 elements. Its roots in survival and chattel slavery. Its documented costs in the body. My own story as I sat in the center of that episode and cried like a baby. Okay. The institution, the tenure denial, right? The years of lifting inside a system that wanted my labor, but not me, not my soul. We named the difference between being forced and being forced. And many of you, for the first time, named your own ivory tower. Okay? And in between the episodes, and this is important, my friends, you practiced. We practiced. Wednesday nights, you sat in the black light meditation. You moved through the unfolding. You felt in your shoulders and jaw and chest that the fist can be open. And Thursday night, if you were with us here on the live or engaging with the live stream, not live, but uploaded on YouTube, right? You received the teaching I have been building toward all series. The ancestors are not silent. Okay? The second function of your Kim, the second function of Kim, second function of melanin, ancestral memory, the understanding that those racist surviving coping strategies was not just blocking your peace, it was blocking your lineage. Okay? And that signal, buried under generations of noise, is still transmitting. We just weren't able to hear it. You know, you are not at the beginning of your story. You are the chapter your ancestors have been writing toward. So here is where you stand right here, right now. You know what was done. You know what you internalized. You know what you truly are. And you have felt in your body at least once what release makes possible. Okay, my friends? Now hear the hard truth of the finale. None of that is enough. None. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to say happily. Okay? Insight does not sustain itself. Awakening does not autoplay. I have watched brilliant, spiritually hungry people have genuine revelations, real ones, cellular ones, and 18 months later, they are back in the grip because the revelation that was not practiced becomes a story you once told your contracted self. Okay? If they have a daily practice and you don't, they win. Not because they are stronger, but because they are more consistent. Okay? So today, I'm going to give you yours. All right? I don't know if this music is too loud for folks. Let me see what's happening over here. I mean, I can hear it really good. I turned it down a bit. So, the Radiance Path, 3 pillars. And I do call it the Radiance Path. It's not a made up. It's in my book, The Power of Release. And I want you to hear why it carries that name, my friends. Radiance is not effort. It is not effort. That is the first and important thing to note. The sun does not strain to shine. Shining is what the sun is, expressed. Everything in this series has been moving toward this one reframe. Remember the Power of Release framework? Recognize, which we did. Release, which we did. Reframe. Now? Okay. So we've all been moving toward this one reframe. You are not trying to become something. Never. That's a problem. Always trying. I hate the word trying because it means you're never really there. You didn't do it. You're not going to do it. Right? So, in actuality, you are ceasing to suppress something. You're not trying to get somewhere. You are ceasing to suppress something. Okay? Ceasing to stopping suppressing. You are stopping suppressing something. Or stop the suppression of something. Okay? Radiance is what is left when the suppression stops. The Radiance Path stands on 3 pillars, my friend: stillness, radical self acceptance, purposeful authenticity. I'll say it again: stillness, radical self acceptance, and purposeful authenticity. Okay? All right? Let me make this screen a little bigger here. Give me a second. I think that's a little better. If I can get my mouse back down here. Here we go. I had to make the screen just a little bigger because I just felt really cramped in that small space. And this is a big, big episode. Okay? So, the 3 pillars of Radiance Path, one more time: stillness, radical self acceptance, and purposeful authenticity. Okay? So, pillar 1, stillness. I don't know why that is so loud. Or maybe that's just I'm going to turn this off. Forgive me, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's never that loud. I'm back. Trying to find my mouse. I need a crew, a camera crew. I need help. My eyelashes all crooked. It's okay. I radiate regardless. So pillar 1, my friends, stillness. All right. Everything begins here. And there's a reason why it must. Okay. Your Kim, your melanin, is a receiver. We established that science in episode 1. If you need to go back, you can go check it out. Okay. I'll put the link in the description. But a receiver in a storm of noise picks up absolutely nothing but the storm. The demands, the notification, the performance requirements, the ambient energy of this political moment. Ambient, I mean, it's like sitting on you like a ton of bricks, I should say, if you allow it to. All of this is interference. So look, stillness is not a luxury for people with quiet lives. Okay, stillness is the tuning of your instrument. It is deliberate, daily, is an act of becoming available to a signal the world is engineered to drown out. This is why the dark awake routine is so important, because it anchors everything. It anchors all of this. And in the next segment that's coming up in this live stream, I'm going to teach it to you in full as a foundation of your daily architecture. This would use all of this stuff would usually cost, right? You pay for this. You're getting it free here and now for a limited time. It's free to you. Okay? So pillar 2 is self-acceptance. Radical self-acceptance. And you know, this comes from, if you don't, dialectical behavioral therapy, which was one of the best frameworks for psychological cognitive work, behavioral work that there is. I really enjoyed studying it. I enjoyed sitting in therapy in that way. I enjoyed it. So radical self-acceptance is something that I firmly believe in for everyone, but definitely for those of us who've had to suppress the reality of everybody had to suppress it to live in America. I mean, come on now. Except for a few who are just trailblazers, right? And they know right off the bat who they are and what they're going to do. It's a beautiful thing to have that knowledge, my friends. And so hear the word radical, okay? It means at the root. This is not affirmation, mirror, self-esteem. No. This is the root level settlement of the oldest account in your ledger, the not enough wound. I'm not enough. Even if you don't say it, you feel it. The imposter syndrome, not feeling like you could be loved, that nobody wants you. You're not enough. You're not enough to go back to school. I could never do that, right? We have these running narratives in our head about how unworthy we are. It's a lie. Every system we named in this series, the plantation, the racial hierarchy, the fake racial hierarchy, the ivory tower, whatever that is manifested, however that's manifested for you, the schema, the coping strategies that come directly from chattel slavery into our lives today, primarily for Black women. All right. This all ran on a shared operating system, my friends, that your worth was and is pending. All right. Provisional, based on how you were judged by others, awaiting review. And the deepest damage was that you took over the review process. Yeah, you took over the review process yourself, okay? You became your own auditor, running the deficit ledger from the inside, that internal residue that this society gives was running inside of you. You began to police you through a lens, a framework, a perspective that was never, ever, ever, ever yours. Never. Radical self-acceptance is not the reward at the end of your healing. No, my friends. It is the ground you heal on. You do not have to earn what you are already. And so radical self-acceptance means the audit is over. Not because you passed something or were validated with a stamp of approval. No. Because the ledger, as I said, is fraudulent. You never created that ledger for yourself. Somebody created it, gave it to you, you ingested it, and then you started to do your own deficit for yourself. You policed yourself as being unworthy. You are accepting yourself just as you are. Radical self-acceptance, not as a settlement for less than you hope for. That is out the window. It's a new day. You're accepting yourself just as you are. This is the recognition of what has been true about you before you even had the language, right? You arrived whole. Kim, melanated. Melanated is a low frequency. Kim is a high frequency. Intuitive, connected, 300 degrees intelligent. Whole, my friends. Pillar 3, purposeful authenticity. All right. This is something I read a lot about in the Power of Release book. to find that is indeed, well, to unfold into purposeful authenticity. For those who really don't know what that means anymore, is a profound feat and experience. It is worth the work. Okay? And so, purposeful authenticity is where the path turns outward. Okay? Because acceptance that stays private is only half of the release. We got to move that out into action. Okay? Move it out so that you radiate. The schema, the chatteled coping strategies, right, taught you to fragment oneself for work, oneself for family, one for church, one for the honest 2 minutes before sleep. And let me just talk a minute about that fragmented self, because nowhere is this more prevalent than, I don't know how many of you have watched Tyler Perry's Have and Have Nots. The mom was a domestic worker, right? Like worked in a rich Caucasian person's home. Okay. And every morning she put on her maid outfit and slapped on her wig to be a representation pleasing to the Caucasian consumers of her efforts, right? And then she would go home, the wig would come off, and also her language would change, called code switching. Okay? She would code switch. She would be different, not her true self, not her authentic self. And then she would come home, code switch back to her authentic self. But is it really? That's a whole another thing, right? That I'll get into in another live stream. Took her wig off and became something slightly, well, different. Your authentic self. And that was when I watched that show. After all my studies of identity, ascribed, meaning somebody gave it to you, and avowed, meaning it comes from inside, you know, it was just a very interesting observation I made about that show. And you could probably see that in other shows, right? This code switch, and people are like, well, you got to do that for work. Do you? Do you really? Well, I got to make money. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And everything takes time, right? That's part of the walk. And maybe you can't change the way you dress and the wig you wear, right? I mean, I wear my hair. I love wigs. But as you see, I'm not afraid to take them bad boys off. Not at all. But the thing that's running in my mind right now is your authenticity authentic? That's another layer of knowing self, to understand if you are still acting out somebody else's script, claiming it to be authentic, and still not being able to find your true self. So we fragment, and we're honest 2 minutes before we go to sleep, right? About who we are, maybe, perhaps. Purposeful authenticity is the end of fragmentation. And that means you know what you do. You're conscious of your behavior. Even if you can't change it, you're well aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it for. And you never sell out. Yeah? It is the practice of showing up as one undivided self everywhere and letting your purpose flow from who you truly are rather than from what the room requires. Excuse me. And I do use the word purposeful for a reason, okay? Your authenticity is not just self-expression. And that's what I mean, is your authenticity really authentic, okay? So your authenticity is not just self-expression, it is service, right? Every room you enter, undivided, gives everyone in the room silent permission to stop performing. Although that's very hard for many, many people in this society because America does a wonderful job on inoculating. I remember when I was a student of media, of communications, there was this huge sort of debate as an undergrad about, is there a direct injection and an inoculation of these discourses that tell us who we are and what to do directly? And then people would debate, no, there's layers between there. There is no direct. And it was particularly when they talked about video games, right? Do they directly inoculate the person watching it in a way that changes their behavior? Yes. There's a lot of debate. People don't want to say yes because, of course, if we say yes to that, then, and that becomes something, then that's a problem for what is shown on media. But as consumers of it, like a lot of consumption of that, you are inoculated with that. I mean, many of us can't even see the world from within our own gaze. We're looking through the observer's gaze, the Caucasian gaze. And what we see, we're seeing it as a Caucasian would see it and believe that we are seeing something authentically, right? That's deep. That's deep. That's another live stream, y'all. So it's hard. You go into a room, you are authentic. You have to gauge, right? Because a lot of people there, they can't be authentic. They don't even know what that means. They say authenticity and they don't mean it at all because there is also a different understanding of language. We might say authenticity and somebody else might say it and mean something completely different. If we're not on the same page with the connotations and a denotation is what something actually means. A connotation is what it means to us in a subjective sort of interpretation, right? So when you see dog has a definite definition, but the person's connotation, they might see the dogs that chase them down the street, or they might see their own family dog that they love, right? Or they might see something else and interpret that differently. Authenticity is similar. All words are similar because there's so much room for interpretation of the word because the American language is so linear and flat. There are no degrees or nuances of terms. That's a problem. And I know I'm getting a little bit off, but that is a real problem in communication. And that's why everything in America, when we talk about language, maybe it appears, it seems, that is problematic because there is never any declaration of what something is, particularly among Caucasians. Alleged. Anyway. So, in certain spaces, you being whole, purposefully authentic, can be contagious. It absolutely can. It absolutely is. Think about all the speakers that come out and talk about their story, being authentic with what they're sharing, and the whole room is like, oh, you know, and and they feel caught up in the energy of the way in which the terms and words find space to resonate within their being, right? And that's when you get these speakers that have millions and millions of views. Okay. And so your wholeness is contagious, and that is not a metaphor, not at all. That's not a metaphor. We will get to the science of this in segment 4, where we're going. Okay. The world does not need a more manageable version of you. No, 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 no. It needs the one your ancestors made possible. So stillness, I'm just having some all kind of language problems today. Stillness tunes the instrument. Acceptance ends the audit of yourself. Authenticity takes the whole self public. Yeah. 3 pillars, but pillars need something to stand on daily, or they're just philosophies. And Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at, I do love philosophy, but I'm all about action. Nothing else. Action and the work. Yeah, people scared to get coached by me because I'm real with it. Takes work. I help, I guide, I coach. You do the work. And it is work, my friends. But it's good work for a righteous cause. You. So, in order to take these from philosophy into daily, I'm going to get into the practices. And if you're still here after all that, I would ask you kindly to hit the like and subscribe so that other people can hear this message and that it can resonate for them the way it's resonating for you, my friends. So, the daily architecture, 5 practices for living in the black light. So, Thursday night teaching, we talked about the ancestors are not silent. I did give 5 practices for recovering the ancestral signal. If you missed that teaching, the replay is waiting for you on Power Prophet TV. But today I'm going to do something different with those 5 practices, okay? Thursday, I gave you a list, all right? Tonight, I'm going to build them into a day. Today, I'm going to build them into a day. I had a water bottle. My son took it. I need to buy another one. Listen, the list is information. I gave you is information. A day is an actual, true life. So, practice 1, the dark awake routine. All right. This is the foundation of everything. So I want to teach it to you in full. Okay. This is also talked about my journey through it so you can get an idea of what it was like for me to go through this. Is in the Power of Release. Okay. It's in the Power of Release book, journeying from a closed fist to an open hand. All right. The link to it is in link in bio. So this is your morning with a dark awake routine. Before dawn, before there's any light in the sky. So you got to get up early. You can go back to sleep, but you got to get up early. Okay. Before dawn, before the light, before the phone, before anything, before the world begins to claim you. Okay. You sit in the dark. Okay. Awake. eyes closed. No candle, no app. Well, you can have a candle, but you're not looking at it, right? You're using it to channel, and there's different, the white one for the crown chakra connection. It's a good one. Okay. Open your mind up, right? No app, no soundtrack, no noise of any kind. Just you, the darkness, and your breath work. Okay. This is not meditation in the way you have been taught meditation, if indeed you have been taught. Okay. You are not emptying your mind. You are not achieving anything. It is a tuning. You are sitting in the frequency your Kim, melanin, is designed for. Okay? Remember in episode 1, darkness is not the absence of your power, it is the origin of it, my friends. The womb is dark, the soil is dark, the cosmos is dark. And Kemet, the cradle of it all, is named the Black Land. Well, not the cradle of it all, because again, my ascription is more to Nubia than it is to Kemet. Nubia, the land of Kush. That was where I found myself. So you sit and you become available. All right. And so available to whatever wants to arrive that is not on the schedule. That's not part of your to-do list. All right. Not on the agenda. The ancestors speak, the spirits speak, the divine intelligence speaks on a frequency that requires stillness and darkness to receive. Not because any of those are weak. Absolutely not. But because your waking hours are so saturated with noise that the subtle signal cannot penetrate, because we had not been trained yet in that direction to hear it. And that's sort of like intuition coming into play. And it takes a lot of practice, but you can catch that communication right before something is going to happen so that you know what to do. And we'll get into second sight development at a certain time. All right. My own darker weight routine is somewhat long. It has grown over the years. Yours starts at 5 minutes, and then you can increase time as you feel comfortable in sitting in that darkness. Okay. 5 minutes in the dark before the lights go on. And part of this being awake, right? People, when I close my eyes, it's black. It's Kim. And so I am stayed. My attention is on Kim. And when you do that long enough in longer increments, you will have visions, downloads. You will see things. You can astral project to other places. It is profound. Okay? You put your attention on the Kim with your eyes closed. You don't not see it, because we go to sleep. We're trained to just let the dark be there, and that's like something that helps us go to sleep. No, that is your place of knowing and seeing. So your attention, your intent is to not be focused in some way where you're actually working, but that your attention, your awareness is in Kim. You. So 5 minutes before anything happens, before the sun comes up or the sky lightens, this is when you're doing it. 5 minutes. Okay? That's all. That's a good start. All right. And we're not trying to stop thinking. All we're trying to do in that process is attend to Kim in our closed eyes. And thoughts are going to come, but you're not going to sit in those thoughts. And I said that before. If I am in Kim and thoughts come to me, and they do, right? Sometimes out of control. The thing you have to remember is that having a thought is not the same as grabbing the thought. Like the ocean, on top of the ocean, the waves are coming, things are happening, but you are submerged. You understand there's activity up there, but you are not going to swim to the surface to get involved in that. No, you're not. You're not swimming to the surface to get involved in that. You're not grabbing the thoughts, the life raft, trying to catch a fish. You're not doing any of that. You're letting it happen while you stay submerged in Kim. Do not grab a thought. By grab a thought, I mean if your thinking comes up, I got to pay that bill. Got to pay that bill, right? That's a thought. That's on top of the waves. It can just go. On top of the surface of the ocean, it can just go. Grabbing it means I got to pay the bill. I don't know what time I'm going to do that. I got to talk to Bill to get that done. That's grabbing it. The thought is there, but when you begin to actively think on that thought, thinking means configuring, figuring, that is grabbing it. So we don't want to do that. Don't grab, submerge, and let it happen. And if you find yourself grabbing, be mindful enough to see you're grabbing and stop. Simple and easy as that. If you grab, it's not failure. It's just function. That's part of the process. Okay? So if you grab, don't quit. If the grabbing is like the whole meditation, then you keep submerging. Okay? Because that is the practice to be able to sit in Kim without grabbing those thoughts. Okay? It's all part of the process. You're not doing anything wrong. There's no commentary on you. Don't personalize it. You're fine. Okay? And so I'm telling you from my own life and from everyone I've taught this to and coached through, within weeks, you increment. Do it in increments. 5 minutes. Maybe you start with 2 minutes. Go to 5 minutes. Okay? You have to adjust this for you. And that's the whole part of my program. It becomes authentically yours because I'm not telling you to do something to do it. You have to put your understanding how that works for you, right? Because there is no universal one size fit all. Not at all. That's a recent upload I had, short. But where was I at? So 2, 5, go to 6, 10. You keep going up. You go as high as you can go. Literally. I mean, I've sat in meditation a long time. 3 hours, between an hour and a half to 3 hours is like my long meditations. Yeah, because once you get into this practice, there's something so fundamentally comforting in understanding that that's your church, right? That's your church. And it begins to feel so wonderfully just good. Yeah, it's your church. Literally, it is. Because once you get used to this, once you do it, you will be refreshed. Like the balm of Gilead. Heal! Fire! Dunamis power! That's the resurrection power of Jesus. Yeah. I was a church leader. And I used to evangelize. I used to bring people to Jesus. Don't get me started. Mm, that was an interesting experience, but it was all part of my walk, and I'm happy to have those long times as a Christian. Okay. So within weeks, a different quality enters your morning. And the morning is the start of the day. And that's important to refresh and renew, reclaim, and unfold. Unfold for me is unfolding into a space of authenticity, right? That comes when you take the time to sit still. Okay. A clarity that was not there forms, an arrival of knowing, and that's the most critical component. Um, you weren't seeking, right? Those are the downloads. Okay. That is the signal. That is your lineage, your spirit guides, your divine intelligence finding the open frequency. Okay. Practice 2, calling the names inside the dark. That's where it starts. You can call names anytime, anywhere to get your power up. All right. So while you sit in the dark awake routine, I would suggest at the beginning of sitting, in the beginning, okay, you call the names, right? Calling the names is calling those ancestors who are here and not here, right? As far back as you can go. So you start with, that's why you got to go back and look at the 5 practices to understand what calling names means. You start with what you know. If you want to begin with living, that is fine. But your grandmother, her mother, your aunts who are not here or here. But this is all about ancestors. Okay, but I don't want to stop you from pulling in the energy of profound women or men in your life that have the capacity to energize and speak into your being. Okay, so say the names out loud in the dark. Go back as far as you can. Erykah Badu did this practice before she sang a little concert. I saw this on YouTube. It was so profoundly powerful. I felt it. And if I can find, I haven't been able to find, if I can find that concert, I'm going to show that calling of names, and you will see and you will feel. And when the names run out, when you hit the wall of the middle passage, if you can go back that far and the record stop, do not stop. Say to those who carried this before, I had language for it. To those whose names were taken before I could learn them, I know you are here. I am listening. Powerful. You do not need to have a complete genealogy to have an ancestral connection. You need a willingness to acknowledge that you did not arrive at this time in this place alone. One of slavery's most deliberate, it's all violence, psychic, spiritual, physical, emotional. It's all brutal violence. One of the most deliberate severances was the erasure of names. Every morning you call them, you are reversing that act of erasure that was designed to be permanent. So if we're running around here, that's what this whole thing is about, the Black Light series. If we're running around here now knowing who we are, they can fill us with any garbage. They can tell us anything. They can have us looking through their eyes all the time because we are severed. And we will fall for anything. And that's been a plight. So 5 names in the dark, or 5 minutes in the dark awake routine, 5 minutes saturated in your Kim, awareness on your Kim, awareness on Kim. Okay? And you are undoing a 400-year project. All right? Do not tell me the practice is small. Why did I write that? Oh, somebody be like, oh, that ain't nothing. No, it is something. Okay? It is something. And here, inside morning practice, is where you can unfold your mother tongue. So, mother tongue is what Christians call speaking in tongues, which is demonized and all this crazy stuff. I have a video on mother tongue. Mother tongue is your natural tongue to connect in all ways, and 360-degree ways, whole ways. So some mornings the names will crack something open, okay? And what rises in you will not fit into any words. Do not force it into any words. And sometimes this takes a little practice. As I've mentioned in this story before, I got my mother tongue from sitting in a service. Well, at first I was in the shower. This is what I used to do. I'm only gonna, and it all felt manufactured, it all felt forced. It really did. I didn't know what was happening, right? And then I went to a service. There was a Indian preacher who definitely had some divine power. He gave us, speak in tongues, and all of a sudden, my mother tongue just jumped out of my mouth to the point, like, it was like mad that I hadn't found it, because I remember afterwards somebody came up to me and was like, are you okay? And of course, white people do that to make it seem like you're odd, right? Because I was in my mother tongue and I hit the chair, right? And in mother tongue, you're not going to know what you're saying until you get to a certain point. Like now I can say what I can direct if I'm feeling down, right? I can start off asking ancestors, my spirit guides, the divine intelligence to lift me up. And I know when I start speaking the mother tongues in that way, I'm sitting in that lift up, right? I had been depressed, sad, and without any drugs, anything, speaking my mother tongue took it off of me immediately. That's how powerful your mother tongue can be. And it's already in you. It's just been shut down by the society, by the severance between our own lineage across the Atlantic, right? And the practices. And it is not demonic. It is a necessary tool because it puts you in direct resonance with that which you need in the spiritual realm. It's your tongue to be directly in sync with your folk in the spirit realm. I'll do a video on this. So in the dark awake, if you feel this rise up, and it's gobbledygook. Sometimes people don't want to do it because they're embarrassed. I can understand that. Maybe you need to do your darker wicked routine in a place where it's private. If it's not, you tell the people who are there to get a life. You try to find yours. You trying to reclaim yours. You trying to unfold into yours. All right. And so I practiced, and finally it came out. And I did it in the shower and I was living by myself. I think I had my son at that time, but it was just, more private because I felt stupid. I'm just telling you the reality of what it was. I'm being very transparent. I felt really stupid. Okay. And so don't try to change what's coming out into words. All right. Do not force it into words. This is the mother tongue. Everybody's mother tongue is slightly different, but it's not. And that's another thing. It's the primal vibrational sound that comes from beneath the language. Okay. And in speaking in tongues, you resonate in your sacral, right? Which is the root chakra, right? And it comes from down here. So you are resonating with the So, Hurama Haramagurai and Dramagudur Sarai, Sharamadur Sun, Hurundaba Ara, Saraya Sharan, Dramagotor, Shidam, Dramagadra Sun. Harayara Gutru Salamare, and Daramadur Salamon, Andrea Sarai, Sharam, Harayam, Drahum, Dragatara Salam, Dramagadra Siam, Drahai, and Amurus. So that is, I just jumped into it. And sometimes it's hard to just jump into it where you get to the point where your mother tongue begins to sound like a real language, right? But for some, it could be a vibrational sound, like a hum or a moan, a tone that you did not plan. And if you are mindful to catch that tone, you just keep doing it over and over as many times as you can. Remember that tone and make it your own, right? And then the rasarai sharamudumara saragisha rasaramadra dramagodra sadai shara dramagadra drabasarai sha rasaraya dramagadra dara shara dramagadra sarai sharam dramagadra shara darina rasarun dramagadra sarai shara dramagadra sarai rasru rusaramadra hara sarai sha Raya mudrogara shara podu sri shayam dragara sara indrugara sa harsam dragara sharam dragara shara drama. And sometimes you will sing. And I immediately go into meditation when I do that. And I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm just away. I'm away. And my spirit is speaking directly to that which needs to hear it. I'm not going to do it anymore because I could be scaring people. But if you're scared, then this whole black light thing ain't for you. Because look, our ancestors, they ain't scared. They may have been scared on that crazy behind boat, sitting in there like a bunch of sardines. But they ain't scared. So the mother tongue bypasses cognitive gatekeepers. That's why when you really situate and find yourself in it, you disappear in many ways. And it's your spirit speaking directly. And so you bypass the cognitive gatekeepers, all that social conditioning, that ego, right? The internal committee that reviews everything you express for acceptability. This is the hardest part for my clients, right? Because they've just been so conditioned to believe that that's nothing. But the ones that continue the practice have that moment of, oh, I found my mother tongue. because it's not manufactured. It just starts to flow out naturally, right? You know, when they have that moment, it is powerful and it speaks directly from your center, from your spirit to the cosmos and to all that exists. It is your quantum entanglement tool. It is your Ubuntu tool. It operates on so many levels. Now, some clients don't want to learn it. Look, everybody's got their time, got their way, got their feeling. But the clients who do integrate this into this reframe, and we really try to work on the mother tongue during the release evolution. So there's the recognition evolutions or evolution, there is the release evolutions, and then there is the refrain evolution, which has various steps underneath of that evolution. The ones that really get into it and discover their mother tongue, they thrive and they have a healer, divine communicator, a friend when you need one. So that internal committee, has had a chokehold on your voice, which is why we don't, we try to diminish that. Gets us in trouble. We got a different perspective on what needs to be said. The transparency that we like, but we have been so forced to hide over the generations, to hide the things that are happening to us and our families. That's voice, right? And so it's had a chokehold over your voice your whole life. The mother tongue is your voice before that internal review committee and that external BS. Look, before it was even seated. Before it was even seated. And today I introduce it. Tomorrow night, live practice, Wednesday live practice, we practice it together. If nobody comes, I'm not going to do it because it makes no sense. So I hope you will join me, okay? Fully as a community. I will take you there safely. I have these steps. And today, just know when the sound arises in the dark, you are allowed to let it out. Practice 3, attending to dreams. Unite. So very important, right? I do bulk dream interpretation. I encourage all of my clients to keep a dream journal. I don't just interpret one dream. You got to give me three dreams. More, the better. I bring to this bulk dream interpretation qualitative research skills, right? Because just because I'm spiritual don't mean I got to sit in some psychic world and oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? Yes, that helps. Maybe one interpretation, maybe one dream, right? Maybe a few. But it gets so much more interesting when you note your dreams in detail. I provide a journal for that. You can pick out things. When you finish filling that book, or I give a number that you need to do in order for me to begin bulk dream. And bulk means I have more, ideally more than 3, 5 dreams. I pull out information, the theme. I sit in it, understand it, and then we take it to the psychic spiritual realm, my friends. That's what comes from being a researcher. You can apply these skills in the spiritual world. You can. They fit together. Remember my whole thing on critical thinking and spiritual discernment, they fit together. Okay? And so, attending to your dreams. The day ends the way it began, at the threshold of the dark. You know, keep a journal beside your bed. As I mentioned before, my phone, I will get up and just write it out in the text. And if I can't remember it all, I hit send, something comes to me, I write it more. Hit send, something else comes. Remember something in the morning, I'll continue it. That's the easiest way I found. Pulling out the journal and the pen is hard. So I have something to help you do this on your phone. Okay? So keep a journal by your bed if you prefer that instead of the electricity, and a pen or pencil. All right. You could even speak it into the audio. That can also be interpreted. All right. It can be down as a transcript, and I can still do the work on that for you. And once I do the work, I show you how you can do the work so you can become more aware of what the ancestors, your spirit guides, and divine intelligence is communicating to you in these dreams. Okay? And so when you wake from a dream, any dream, no matter how fragmented, as I just said, write it down before anything else because it may just go away. All right? Before the phone, before you speak. The Kemetic and Nubian traditions treated the dream state as primary territory for ancestral communication, also divine communication, also communication with your spirit guides. Okay, and we don't have to do all that at the same time. Right now, we're focused on communication from your ancestors. So it's not entertainment; it is transmission, my friends. Your neuromelanin is densest in the brain structures tied to deep memory and unconscious processing. Why? Okay. And it's most active precisely when the gatekeeping mind steps back, sleeping. Okay. You are not looking for obvious symbolism, although everything is important. You are building a record. Okay. And over time, that record reveals patterns that are not random and not wish fulfillment. They are navigational, my friends. Your ancestors have always known how to find you in the dark. In Kim, the question is whether you trust what arrives. That's always the big question, right? Are you trusting it enough? So, practice 4, semantic knowing, all day long. Between morning dark and night dark, there is day. And the day is where the coping strategies that make no sense in this day and age or that are tied to your survival identity. Come on now. I've done so many lives on this survival identity, right? Will try to re-enroll you. Always this conditioning will reassert itself because it's what it's made to do, reinforcing, right? That's why we have to stop it being so functional within ourselves. Okay. And so the daytime practice is the one you carry in your body throughout the day. You learned in the unfolding, right, that your body keeps the record, right? The body keeps the score as a book. Okay. But the body is not only an archive of the wound, it is a live instrument of guidance. All right. The sudden knowing that something is wrong before you have evidence may sit in your tummy. The warmth in your chest when you're moving in the right direction can signal peace. The contraction when someone is not who they are presenting themselves to be is important. We miss it. Okay. These are not anxiety symptoms, my friends. I thought it was my whole life, basically, as an adult. Don't get me wrong. Anxiety all the way. Try to drink it away. Good Lord. And I know I'm not the only one who did that. People still probably do that, right? I got anxiety, get some wine, the beginning of my own alcoholic battle, right? Mm, mm, mm. Just to just to eradicate the knowing my body was providing me. They get us all screwed up in the society, all screwed up, all screwed up. And then they give us drugs. Now, granted, some people out here are suicidal, clinically depressed. I'm not even going to get into that because I got some very radical views on all that stuff. Okay. All I know is that we will drink away feeling. And that's the worst drug away feeling. That's really bad. The sudden knowing, okay, where am I at? So these are not anxiety symptoms. These are not overreactions. These are your ancestral memory function doing what it's designed to do. Okay. Offering you information from a source deeper than conscious analysis, right? The practice. This is the practice. When a strong physical somatic signal arrives or an overwhelming emotion for no reason, when it arrives, pause before you override it, drink it away, uh, sex it away, ignore it. Okay, believe you're sick. Okay, pause before you override it, before you logic check it into silence, my friends, or emotionally check it into silence, my friends. Okay, because the schema, the survival coping strategies that society has told us to do, which are so harmful to ourselves, that schema silences it. Those coping strategies, that racial trauma, that's racial coping with racism, silences it. Ask one question when you have this sudden feeling in your body or a ongoing feeling, a sudden emotion for no reason, an ongoing emotion that you don't know where these things came from. Ask one question. What does my body know that my mind has not caught up with? You got to sit. Then listen. Not with your head, but with your whole being, my friends. Your whole being. Practice 5. Living in a way that honors the lineage, the orientation of everything. The first 4 practices have a time of day. The 5th one is the day. Okay? In ancient African civilization, Kim spirituality had an understanding of the Ka. The understanding of the Ka held that the ancestors are not passive presence. Okay? They're not a passive presence. All right? They are invested. They contribute to your life. They contributed to your life. They sacrificed for it. Okay? They are watching. Not to judge you. Never that. But to guide you toward the fullest expression of what they made possible. Okay? To honor the lineage is to live as if your ancestors can see you. And those of you who believe in this level, you live because your ancestors are watching you. Okay? Every choice becomes a question. Is this the fullest, most force-filled version of my life? Being clean, dressing. I mean, living in the fullest expression of yourself. Not sitting around every day in a tracksuit, or whatever you would wear to lounge in. I mean, that's not the fullest expression. And granted, you can't look, even if you binge watching TV, you binge it in your fullest expression. Okay? You do everything to the fullest. No guilt, right? You do it and mean it. You are forced. You're orchestrating your life. If you want to binge, that's not antithetical to being a force. You made that choice. Ain't nothing wrong with that choice. But we'll sit in guilt. No, baby. The fullest expression is no guilt. So if you're feeling guilty about not cleaning your house, clean your house. Okay? If you're feeling guilty about not taking care of your car, take care of your car. If you're feeling guilty about not doing something for your children, your husband, your wife, your friends, do whatever that is. If you're procrastinating, that happens. It's not procrastination to me, right? That's not what it is. That is your body signaling that perhaps what it is that you're doing or that you have to do is not aligned with your highest, fullest self. Different spin on procrastination when it comes to Kim spirituality, ancestral memory, okay? And I know people get really mad at me because psychiatrists and everybody else, therapists make a ton of money about procrastination. But they don't tell you to rethink. Maybe that's not for you. They want to give you drugs. They want to put you in some cognitive framework so that you can maintain some bull crap in your life so you don't cause nobody a problem. I know they only want the best for you. Maybe sometimes. Many of the things that we do in this life are not aligned with what we're supposed to be doing. It's what the society says we have to do to survive. We make the best choice. But then you got some people, and I do love Erykah Badu. I always talk about Erykah Badu. I love her. If she's not an authentic sister, the quintessential authentic sister. I mean, there's many like her, but I gravitate to her energy because it is so real, so rooted, so ancestral, so divine. Okay? Everything is to the fullest. And the fullest means there is no guilt. There's no self-doubt. That's the choice you made. That's your choice. You live your life based on what feels right, not based on what they're going to judge you for, not for that external review committee, and not for the internal review committee. You live the fullest, aligned with your lineage, aligned with your spirit communication downloads, and aligned with the divine intelligence who wants you to prosper on every single level in your life. It's not just finance. That's love. That's peace. That's every level. So every choice becomes a question. Is this the fullest, most force-filled version of my life? So binge watching, make sure you got all the goodies, the snacks, whatever beverages you're going to have, the blankets, the lights, the friends, the kids, the family, you by yourself, chilling out. And I keep saying binging because nobody says it's not full. You make it full. And there's other things, right? That's just an example, a silly example that people say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You're spiritual. Yeah. And that's the problem. Judgment. Forget them. This is about you, my Kim friend. All right. So, is this the most forceful version of your life? Not the version the system approved, not the version your friends approved, your family approved, right? I mean, they're important, but that approval is a form of control. Okay. Not the version, the coping strategies that are harmful and bad made available. The one they endured centuries for so that you could reach it. 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 The power of release is not just about putting down the lie, although that's a big part of it, right? It is about picking up what the lie was covering. Now, watch the whole architecture assemble. You wake in the dark and tune the instrument, dark awake. You call the names and open the channel. When the words fail, the mother tongue speaks. You walk into the day with your body as your counsel, somatic knowing. You make your choices under the eyes of the lineage. The fifth practice, the orientation, and you close the day at the dream journal, leaving the door open for night transmissions. And one practice I didn't put in here because a lot of people can't walk in the dark at night is walking in Kim, the dark night. You don't do it at midnight. I used to go out at 8 or 9 p.m. Um, well, in the summer, maybe a little bit later. Um, that is profound. And you're not going in, I mean, that's even walking and talking to somebody, right? But not talking about just BS, like just having a real growth oriented conversation or just you in a form of meditation, whether you're walking the dog or just walking yourself. Not meditation where you're going to fall off the curb or run into the building, but walking is extremely meditative. Or you jog at night. Indeed, meditative exercise, but outside in the dark, in Kim. And so, morning, day, night orientation, one complete circuit as if you're on the Nautilus at the gym. The three pillars, stillness, acceptance, authenticity, are not concepts anymore. They actually have a schedule within your own life. And I'm letting you know that these videos are not going to be up for long. These practices people pay for. I'm giving them free right now because this will turn into a course because of its popularity. Okay. And I see that people may be hungry for this information. Well, yes, they appear hungry. See, I'm using that people are hungry for this information. Manifestation has no seems, maybe, alleged. Mm-mm, mm-mm. And before you feel overwhelmed, you do not have to start with all five. That's what the whole coaching, power of release is about. You start with 5 minutes tomorrow morning in the dark. That is the entire threshold. I recommend starting in the morning. That architecture builds from there, and Wednesday night, we will build it together. If you're still with me, buy me a cup of coffee. Hit subscribe, algorithms, right? And the like. So YouTube can begin to push these videos to people who really want to sit in this information. Okay. So stop lifting and start orchestrating. This is very important. I don't know how long I have to go. I think fourth is the last segment. So now I want to tell you what the daily architecture is for, okay? Because these practices are not the destination, they are the instrument. And the music is your life, okay? All series long, I have used two words: lifting and orchestrating. Today, the full teaching. Lifting is what most of us do in life: surviving the day, enduring, managing, reacting, getting through. Lifting is the closed fist as a lifestyle, okay? Gripping the schedule, gripping the image, gripping the exhaustion like it is a job requirement. Lifting is what? Horrible maladaptive coping skills from having to survive produce, okay? A life that looks functional from the outside and is running on fumes on the inside. You can you can lift. I'm like, what did I write? You can lift for 40 years. Many of Kim folks have, okay? It is what was survivable. We had to survive. We still got to survive in this crazy thing we call the United States of arsonists. Talking about the billionaire class. Burn it down. Money is my God. People can go to hell. Kill them all. That's not funny. I should not be laughing. Okay. So you can lift for 40 years. Many of Kim people have. It is what's survivable. And I honor that. I do. I honor it. And I'm telling you, it is not the assignment anymore. It is not. It is not. Okay? Orchestrating is something else entirely. Orchestrating is conscious co creation with the universal life force, with the cosmos, the cosmic consciousness, the divine intelligence, your God, Jehovah, Allah, whatever you call your divine power, your higher power. Okay? So, um, that's not the assignment. So orchestrating, that's where I am. So co-creation with, I'm going to put them all into one, the universal life force. Okay? It is moving through the same day, same job, same family, same country, on fire as the conductor of your energy rather than the causality of your circumstances. Conductor of your energy rather than the causality causing your outcomes. The orchestrator still faces everything you face. The difference is the position she faces it from. Center, not wound. Not wound, but center. Open hand, not closed fist. Antenna, not the target. All right? And so the difference between being the difference it is the difference between being forced and emerging, unfolding as force. Okay? And I don't use the word strength. Anybody who says that to me either use force or power. Strength does not resonate in my world anymore. Okay? And that's part of also the changing your language. You change your language, you create a new world. You reclaim a world, you create a world. Keep using the same old terminologies without having your own language within a language, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over again. That's what power release does in the reframe, giving new language. And here's why your daily practice is not a self-improvement project. Here is why it matters beyond you. Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Episode 1 showed you the quantum picture, right? At the subatomic level, everything is entangled. Everything. Separation is a surface story. It's an illusion. And it's not an illusion that, it is an illusion that's created. It's a three-dimensional reality in which we live. as it's been narrated. Okay, different narrations produce different realities. All right, and so separation is a surface story. The field is the deep truth. Ubuntu is not a proverb. It is physics with morality, or with a moral. We are not sealed units running isolated lives. We are a field of energy, which means when you recover your signal, you give power, you power the field for everyone in it. I know that seems far out, but it's like chaos theory. When a butterfly flaps its wings in Montana, there's a storm in Tanzania. Okay, for those of you who don't know chaos theory, you might want to look it up. Get the cliff notes or the chaos theory for beginners, right? Because it is a very complicated theory. Okay, and so you power up the field for everyone in it. So when you walk in a room undivided, the room reorganizes around your wholeness. Okay, when you break that schema that says you got to survive this way in your body, you weaken its grip on your daughter, on your sister, on people you will never meet. Thursday night this week, last week, I said it this way, and I will say it again because it is the reason this series exists. Your healing is a gift to people you have never met and will never know, my friend. So, let me give you the vision. Let me tell you what I see when I imagine 10,000 of us living this architecture. I see Black Americans who stop managing their existence and start radiating from it. I see the woman who used to rehearse her own diminishment in the car before work, walking in undivided, and the whole floor recalibrating. I see the man who has held the fist so long he forgot the hand could open, teaching his son to open it early. I see households where the morning dark is holy again, where the names are called, where the children grow up watching their parents listen to their own bodies and take their own knowing seriously. Children will never need a live stream series to learn what they are because they will have watched it at the kitchen table. I see people under open political assault who cannot be made to contract because their power source was never located in the systems doing the assaulting. That is not optimism, my friends. That is strategy, the deepest one we have. They can defund what they granted. They can revoke what they licensed. They cannot touch what they did not give you. Okay? And after 3 weeks of receiving, it is time for you to speak. Now, usually I will conclude this with a commitment ceremony. All right. If anybody's interested in the commitment ceremony, where you make a commitment to yourself and you declare a change, a difference in your life or in your practice, along with with this video, with this live stream, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Declaration, all caps, and I will pin the declaration in the comments. Okay. And so, hear me now as we close. Not just this episode, but the series this week. 3 weeks ago, you may have arrived here believing the darkness was your burden. Tonight, you know the darkness was never your enemy, my friends. It was always your power. Your assignment, one practice, beginning tomorrow morning, 5 minutes in the dark awake before the world claims you. 21 consecutive mornings, that is the ask, okay? Not perfection, consistency, the systems rehearsing you into contraction. Do not miss a day. They don't miss a day making you contract. From now on, neither do you. Now, listen, in the link in bio is the Radiance Path guide. And so it is chock full of exercises, self reflection, a calendar for 21 days. It's up there now, ready for download. It is a flip book, but you can download it as a PDF. Okay. It is ready and waiting for you. That's only going to be up there to the end of this week. Then it's gone. Okay. And all the activity guides, all the guides that go with all these videos become, you have to purchase them. Not for a lot of money, but they have to be purchased. And so grab that Radiance Path guide, get with this video, this live stream, and begin to do the work before it goes. Again, the guide is leaving by the end of the week. Okay, so we already know. We're looking for perfection, just consistency. The system's rehearsing you into contradiction. Don't miss a day. So you got to be committed. If you miss a day, that's fine. If you miss 2 days, sometimes that happens. It's like falling off the wagon. Just get back on it. And because the falling off, just like when somebody falls off the wagon and they start consuming a substance again, I mean, that's your life hanging in balance, right? That's your life, the fullness of it, the prosperity of it, hanging in the balance. So the choice is yours. And I hope you make the right choice, my Kim friends. All right. So tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 o'clock, right here on YouTube, live practice 3, the final practice, the full dark awake routine together, and your first complete experience of the mother tongue. And again, if I'm doing this without attendees, I may not do the mother tongue, because the mother tongue practice is for you to begin to sit with and resonate with that part of you, which you may have never encountered. Okay. That is for you completely. If you attend one live practice in your life, attend this one. I don't know who's doing this on YouTube. This may be your only opportunity to sit in this. Okay. And Thursday at 7 o'clock, back here on Power Prophet TV, the final teaching. Stop lifting, start orchestrating, my friends. Send it to every Kim person, every Black person you know who is tired of just getting through the day. All right. The Black Light Activation Guide has been taken down. If you would like to have access to it, email me and I will send it to you. After this week, it will not be available. So the Radiance Path Guide is up there now. That is your daily practice, right? The Black Light Activation Guide, I mean, we did that, okay? It has a lot of practice in it. It has a calendar in it, but that's not up there anymore. If you want to get the Black Light Activation Guide that goes with all of this series videos, except for this week, email me. My email is in my description of this channel, okay? Don't be scared. I'm not going to bite. I'll send you the PDF with no viruses. And so the full Radiance Path has reflection questions, a lot of good stuff. It's 13 pages. And the 21 morning tracker. You see, these things can come together and create a book. And share this, right? Not for the algorithm, for the field, Ubuntu. Tell the Black woman in your life who is exhausted. Tell the Black man who has been holding the fist so long, he forgot his hand can open. Your healing already belongs to them too, okay? Let the invitation belong to them as well. And like and subscribe if you are still here. All right now? Now receive this and take it with you. True power is not found in what you hold on to. It is found in what you have the courage to release, right? That's an old saying. And what you release, this is the new part, is yourself. All right? You are not a deficit. You never were, my friends. You are the antenna. You are the chapter your ancestors have been writing toward. You are the black light. You are Kim. Okay? Go live from there, right? My name is Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at. This is the last week of the Black Light series, and this is the end of this live stream. The light is on. Unfold into it. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. Oh my goodness, don't forget to buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the bio, all right? You all be blessed. Oh my goodness, that was